Junkee Media would like to acknowledge the Gadigal people who for centuries have cared for and nurtured the Redfern area of Sydney, where we've recorded this podcast. It's an honour to work and create every day on unceded Gadigal Land here in Redfern, the birthplace of the First Nations civil rights movement in Australia.
I truly do think it's just the little things.
So here we are for our first podcast. Welcome to Little Things. This is something I've thought about for a really long time, and a concept that I guess was born from my own kind of evolved understanding of self-care and how I could incorporate stuff that would make my life better, but without kind of using, I guess, like instructive self-care, get up at 5 a.m. and do 20 million things before you rock up for work, in which you're going to have the most productive day ever, then go home and like have mindful time with your journal. And I wanted to think about this concept in a way that was like helpful and meaningful to me in a way that didn't end up going to that kind of negative productivity space. So I was thinking about little things that I could incorporate that meant something to me and set me up for a day that felt happy versus a day that felt productive. The more I thought about it, the more I felt like I would love to hear from all the cool people we speak to over on Punky and hear about their little things, the things that they collect, the craft that they're doing, them going outside for a walk, them having like a shower at a certain time. It can be like really, really small things. So that's why we're here. We're here to chat to really cool, inspiring people about the way that they set up their days and their lives to be meaningful for them and the people around them. I'm really excited about Gaya. She's our first guest. She has such a different kind of like attitude to me about being gentle with yourself and creating memories with people. I'm very much like a Uber Eats kind of gal. And so to speak to someone who puts so much time and energy and effort into making memories for other people through meals and food is very, very cool. And I think will change my perspective a lot on the things I spend time on and the things that I haven't been paying enough time to. Also, she's a journal girly. I feel like there's so much interesting stuff there about how she views like journaling as a form of really radical self-care and like kind of resetting with some of her anxieties and stuff as well. She's also just like super hot and fun and cool. And I feel like she's a really, really exciting person to start this series off with. So I hope you guys love this series. It's very close to my heart and to the team's heart. And I think you'll take a lot from these chats. You don't have to do anything. Just like have fun with me. And hopefully we'll learn some cool, fun stuff together about creativity, individuality, making time for other people, which sounds so simple, but can be hard sometimes when we're busy, and the little moments that you can take something away from, hopefully. So I hope you enjoyed this chat. Thanks so much for listening, and thanks so much to Angostura Bitters for sponsoring this podcast. Okay, let's do it. Oh my God, I'm so excited. Hi, Gaya.
Hi, Alex.
Thank you so much for coming in to do Little Things. This is so fun to have you. So tell me, Gaya, what is your little thing?
My little thing is food.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about food? Tell me.
I think food and consciously and subconsciously has shaped my whole life. And if I were to really like get into it, I think food plays a big role just from my upbringing. Being a Southeast Asian woman, with my family, we never expressed emotions. But food was one thing that connected us all together. Even though I know you said, what's your little thing? I almost feel like it's my little thing, but has shaped me in such a way as who I am. It is a big thing in a way.
How did food kind of bring you guys together?
So I was born in Sri Lanka. I came when I was like 8 years old. So when I lived there, both my parents were working a lot. And the only time we kind of, I guess, came together was around food, whether it's lunch or dinner. Then moving to Australia also meant that was the only way, I guess, I could keep that side of my culture in a way that, my parents cooking that Sri Lankan food.
Are your parents really good cooks as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God. One of the barriers was the fact that growing up, my mum was an amazing cook. Like, hands down, and I'm not being biased. I think if all my friends who've had my mum's food has been like, she's the best.
Lucky you, by the way.
I know. I
So
didn't realize.
My dad's like, here's some baked beans. Like,
yeah.
far out.
I didn't realize until other friends would be like, oh,
This
Like,
isn't normal.
no shade, it's fine. Like, not everyone's a great cook. But I think saying that, because she was a great cook, I was really scared to tap into Sri Lankan food or cooking Sri Lankan food because she just did it so well that I felt that if I tried to recreate it, it wasn't going to taste as good as hers. But of course, in this journey that I was going on, I came to a point where I was like, of course, it's never going to be the same as hers, but I'm going to create what I think that dish is for me from, using like Google as a background, but also using the recipe. She doesn't really send me recipes. She just tells me the ingredients and go cook, which is not helpful, but using the ingredients,
Figure it out.
Figure it out. Yeah.
Do you have any meals that you remember growing up with?
Some of my favorite things. There's this dish, this Sri Lankan dish, which is like literally fried potatoes and onions with like chili powder and salt. And it's just such a like flavorful food and it's crunchy. It doesn't sound healthy, but I ate that a lot growing up.
Yum, that's so good. It's such an interesting conversation because I don't have that like kind of cultural connection with food, and I'm very kind of blasé with like, I'll just eat whatever.
Yeah.
But I think actually digging into what food means to us and like can mean if you are intentional about it is super interesting. What encouraged you, I guess, to get started with your business in food?
I think, like I said, I was, pushing that away for so long, especially like the world of hospitality, purely because managing a restaurant for 6 years was exhausting. I was working like 6-7 days a week, loved being around food, even though it was my passion, it then became a work thing. So taking a year or two off was a really good decision because I naturally then came around and realized I enjoy cooking food. I host a lot of like dinner parties, lunches, like I host like an annual Christmas with all my friends. And that's just a way to bring everyone together to be in the same room very intentionally. And I did that for years without realizing it's something that I want to share beyond just my immediate friend group.
For me, I don't actually have, this is probably really sad, but I don't have anyone in my life where I would be like, beyond maybe my family, I guess, where we would be like, let's do a dinner party and let's do a full setup.
First of all, you're invited to the next dinner
I know,
party.
I was literally going to say that. I was like, write
it's
that
not
down.
sad. Everyone has their thing, right? Every friendship group has their thing. And I somehow, my friendship group, everyone's a great cook as well. That's the best part. So in a way, every time I cook, usually there's no notes, which I want to hear a feedback. And my friend's like, no, this is amazing. I'm like, no, tell me. Like, I can take this. I want to get better.
Obviously, you've been on like such a journey with food. It's played a big part in your life today. But actually taking the plunge and being like, okay, I'm going to start my own thing.
Yeah,
that's giving scary.
It was scary. And like, I don't know if you knew me a few years ago, I was very like routine girl, financial stability, like all about just like, having a proper job and then like going to
proper job,
9 to 5.
Yeah.
To then kind of, I guess, going to freelance meant it forced me so many challenges in freelance, but it also meant I grew a lot, which leads to the part where I start my business. I was doing a lot of different things, exploring different options, shadowing friends in like shoots and being a stylist, like just doing lots of different things, unpaid and paid. Depends on the job. But a year and a half later, I decided to essentially host or organize my best friend's 30th, everything from organizing to like menu curating to like cooking the food. And essentially did that. And I mean, at the end of it, I was exhausted.
I could never.
Yeah. I don't know what happened. Something overcame me. I did it.
But that's so nice for your friend as well. That's what's really special about these things. Like what I was saying earlier in terms of like not necessarily having people in my life who'd be like, I'm going to cook for you in that kind of way.
Yeah. I think because my love language is food. I'm realizing more and more. I think food and sharing and like act of service is like my love language.
Yeah.
So I think automatically that just comes very naturally to me. But what sparked in me was the fact that I was able to do that. And I think for so long there was this barrier within myself where I felt like, I don't know if it was like I wasn't capable of, but didn't know if I could do to that extent. And that was like a 25 to 30 person sit down lunch. So I was like, wait, I just did that. And I have so much experience.
Wait, but how did you do that?
So that was like the day where I was like, wait, I can do this. I should do something about this. This is the moment. And I felt this like almost high where I felt really, I guess, capable is the word. Like I felt like I can do this. And a week later, I was like, okay, the first step is to just start an Instagram page. Like I have a marketing background, so I know what I needed to do to kind of, establish a business. But again, there was a barrier. I was like, what do I call this business? What's the name? But also like, can I really start a business? Like, even calling it a business now to me feels really weird because it's like,
Why do you think that is though? I think it's a female issue for sure.
100%. I think there's a barrier where we feel like a little bit of an imposter syndrome to claim something that even though we're doing it.
It's like, happy to be here, guys.
Yeah.
Oh my God, sorry for the inconvenience.
Literally.
Here's my small little side hustle.
I just do this thing.
Yeah.
Whenever people ask me my little pitch, I can never be like, oh, I'm a producer by day, but on the side, I do this like food thing. And I'm like, it needs to be better than food thing. Like,
yes.
What does that convey to the other person?
You said that to me. You said side hustle so many times when we were chatting earlier. And it's like, no, it's your actual business.
It's my actual business.
Yeah, that
I know.
you put a lot into. But talk to me about it. So you've started it.
Yeah. So I started an Instagram page, called it Table at Gaya's. It was only meant,
love, by the way.
It's meant to be a placeholder. A year and a half on, I can't think of a different name. Created a little logo on Canva with my little skills that I have on Canva, which is terrible. Honestly, started off as me just posting like what I cooked every day. It might even be like fried rice or like an anchovy toast. I don't know. Like it just varied. There was no like cuisine behind what that page was. It was just everything. And it was a bit chaotic, but I was also like, this is something that I enjoy doing. I want it to be something that I can take it one step at a time rather than put all this energy and feel burnt out. That was one thing that when I started, I made sure not to do, that it was always going to be something that I enjoyed, and I never wanted it to get to a point where I felt like it was work or it felt exhausting or I felt burnt out from it.
It's really tough when you're a creative person like you are and you're building something off the back of something you love, but inevitably with any job and with any business comes like a huge amount of responsibility. How do you separate, I guess, like the work Table at Gaya's from like the actual home Table at Gaya's?
That's really interesting because if you see me at home, I'm not making like beautiful meals like I would for friends or Table at Gaia. Honestly, I have like 3 simple meals that I have. Breakfast might be like a French toast. I know that sounds fancy, but it's really easy making, I swear. It's literally egg, milk, sugar, bread. Like it's, and then.
But don't you have to put it on a pan and like flip it and stuff?
What are you having for breakfast? Obviously smoothies.
I buy a smoothie. And then I might have a juice and then I'll get a coffee and then I've got like my 4 drinks ready to go.
True.
And then when I'm ready, an Angostura Bitters. Duh.
We love it.
Of course, queen.
Refreshing.
What about drinking and events? Like, I think there's a bunch there in terms of obviously our meal times are super connected to like the drinks that we have with our meals, and there's such a big drinking culture. How do you approach that? How many people at your events are drinking, and then how do you approach people who aren't?
With friend events, funnily enough, I have a lot of friends who don't drink. We might just skip the drink and make like a yummy drink that's non-alcoholic. Being a Sri Lankan background, there's a lot of delicious, like fun, super sugary drinks, which essentially kind of feels like you're drinking because you're just on a high from all the sugar. My relationship with drinking comes and goes in waves depending, summer being summer in Australia, it's so beautiful. It's easy to kind of dabble into that. But saying that, I also enjoy the fact that we have longer days with the sun out, and I'd rather wake up at like 8 in the morning, even on a Saturday, have a slow morning where I'm not feeling horrible and go to the markets or like see a friend for a coffee or just go for a stroll, go for a swim and not feel absolutely horrible.
I definitely think we have waves of like when we're into kind of a bit more party vibes and also when we're just like wanting to chill a bit. And it's nice to explore both, and both can be true.
Both can be true. And one of the things I kind of explored late this summer is I was going to parties and not drinking. I'm the same level of fun, and I was able to like essentially be at the party longer as well because I'm like, I'm having fun. I can like go out and have a little meal, come back and party.
I love how everything you do, you like find a way to make a meal out of it. Like you're like, oh, I'll just go off and have a meal and then I'll come back to the party.
No, it's true.
Yeah, on
it's
brand.
True. My favorite thing about going out, just in general, whether it's like going out for dinner, which is kind of funny, or drinks or partying, is there's always a meal at the end of the night. It's a golden rule of mine. Whether it's like a burger, a snack pack, always a snack pack, whatever it is, there's always a 2-3 a.m. meal that I will have to have, even if I had dinner.
Yeah, love. I asked you to share with me a little bit of advice that kind of changed your life. I feel like we had a few kind of interesting ones, but here's what you said.
Yeah.
Opportunities don't come to you. You have to go and get them and connect with people.
Yeah.
Elaborate, please.
Oh my God. Yeah, I feel like it's so new to me, but I wish I knew this earlier. But I also think there's a time and place. And I think me being like in my 30s, it makes sense why I feel more confident to back myself to really quote what I quoted. And I think with Table at Gaia, it was truly one of those moments where I kind of just started and I went, hold on a second. No one else is going to start this for you. No one else is going to hold your hand. You just have to start it, and then hopefully you can create a beautiful community of people around you that will support you and empower you through this, which is what, has been for me with Tablet Guys.
What's really fun, and my team have kind of showed me this, and it's so fun that like it's cool to try now.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's really, really cool to like
Yeah.
actually care about your passions and
Yeah.
be all in on that and be a fan and go all in on the things you love and share that with other people and not be like, hey, I'm trying something. I'm too scared to actually
Yes.
start an Instagram page or put myself out there. It really doesn't matter the results of that, but those results will come. But it's just coming from that place of authenticity that I think has like rang true really for you as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Just like post about it. It's fine. I feel like confidence is like a radical kind of form of self-care in itself. How do you go about being more confident?
Honestly, do you not feel like confidence like comes and goes as well? It's one of those
Yes.
things like, you might have a good week or a good couple of weeks where you feel super productive, and then you'll have like a couple of days where you just question everything, right?
Yeah.
What I've learned is to ride through that. You just have to let it be. If you're having a couple of days or a couple of weeks where you're like, I'm doing a really terrible job at what I'm doing, definitely don't negative self-talk that, because that doesn't help, but allowing yourself and being gentle with yourself in that process, being like, I can't always be confident. I can't always be outspoken. I can't always be like, go, 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 get. Just be gentle. I think that's the one thing that I've taught myself and I've learned. And it's still a battle for myself to be gentle with myself, but I'm learning to do that. And I think confidence comes from that, because if you're gentle and you're taking care of yourself at your lowest time, then when you're rebuilding yourself and when you're feeling better, the confidence is always there. It'll just come back. Whereas if you're, talking down at yourself in the lowest period, then it's much harder to come out of it.
So what my psychologist told me was that the secondary emotion is always much worse than like, so the judgment of the
Yes.
emotion that you have versus the initial emotion is the thing that gets you. I find it really hard to not kind of spiral out and then ever kind of see a way out of that.
Yeah.
But it does always come back, and you do have those periods. So I think that's so important to, be kind to yourself in those moments where you are. I think sometimes it's just really hard to be that way.
And stop judging yourself. Like you said, it's a
Yeah.
secondary emotion, right? Like just because you're feeling this way, don't then be like, why am I feeling this way? I shouldn't be feeling this way.
No one else feels like
Obviously,
this.
Me saying that's easy to be done, I still do it. I've literally had that moment yesterday, spiraled. But I also believe a little bit in spiraling. Like I think you kind of have to spiral to then come out of it. But there is also
Wait, can we just talk about that? That's so funny. This might actually change my whole perspective on my view on life.
Yeah.
You believe in spiraling?
I think spiraling has this like negative connotation to it, which, look, I'm not a therapist. I'm scared. I'm going to get called out on the internet. But I do think sometimes you just have to lean into it, right? The more you try not to spiral, you're going to spiral. Essentially, it's part of anxiety to try and control it, but you don't have control of it, right? So you kind of just let yourself a little bit in. You go through it. Obviously, don't go fully spiraling.
Yeah, don't like crash out.
Don't crash out.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's needed. Let's
Maybe,
be real.
let's
Sometimes
see.
crashing out is good because then you've got no energy to
Go
spiral
anywhere
beyond
further,
that.
Yeah.
But I
Crash
think-
out like in a healthy way, guys.
Is there a
Yeah,
healthy
I don't
way?
know.
But I will
I'll
say,
look at that for the next
with
step.
the spiral, and then when you get to a point where you're like, wait, I'm not coming out of it, then of course have a support network, whether it's a friend, family member, partner. Reach out, and generally those people can kind of comfort you and talk you through it. So that's why when I say spiral, like I don't think it's healthy to like fully spiral, but I also think you don't have control of it. I
Yeah.
could tell you don't
Yeah, yeah,
spiral.
yeah.
You're not going to,
And that's
how
the
would you
thing.
control that?
Yeah, I think it's too hard to kind of try and like unpack some of
Yeah.
that stuff emotionally.
But I think just being gentle on yourself, and I know I keep saying that word and it's so like sounds so simple and it's not, but I think it's like the more you kind of speak to yourself in a way being like, you're literally on this earth and you're doing this for the first time as everyone else is, right? I
Yeah.
feel like you just had a moment when I said that.
Yeah, I'm like, oh my God.
You're like, yes,
Thank
it's my
you,
first
Gaya.
time.
Wow.
But yeah, like
tear.
you're not going to get it right. And I think that's the part where I'm at. I mean, I'm still critical of myself, but I'm getting better at not being critical and allowing myself to like make mistakes and then being like, that's a learning. Let's move on from that rather than ruminating on it.
Yeah, what can I take away from this experience
Yeah.
versus does this experience tell me an inherent like self-belief that
Yeah,
I
and
have,
that
like
experience
fulfill my
doesn't-
scared opinion of what I think?
Yeah, and that
I am,
generally
yeah.
people hold that experience to their personal belief of who they are. It rarely reflects of you, it's rarely a reflection of you. It's actually just a reflection of lots of different things. There's circumstances, possibly you, possibly a different, like another person involved in it. So I think just kind of having to rationalize through that. But again, that's easy to be said than being in the situation.
But I feel like you've got a really good handle on it. And dare I say, I think it's because you journal.
Oh my gosh,
I think it's because you're a journaling girly. No, for sure. I
will
really,
say
really think that.
journaling is my form of therapy.
Yeah.
I don't do it all the time, and the only time I journal is when my life is like when I'm spiraling. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Because you'll see my journal like haven't been recorded for the last 2 months, and then like there's a month where like every day I'm journaling because I'm like going through it, and I'm like I need to externalize it. Yeah. I do also believe that journaling is just a form of like therapy. Like it really is, and even if you can't put words down, like sometimes you don't know what you're feeling. A little scribble.
How do you start if you've never really been a journal girly? Like I go in and out of it, and I know they say start with a gratitude journal, and it's just like 3 things that you're grateful for. But then I'm always like, my boyfriend, the sun. Like I feel like I'm not actually doing the thing. No, is that good? But I don't know if it's just, but am I actually like fully understanding am I actually taking in the...
I don't think there's right or wrong in journaling.
I know,
and that's
this
the
is
thing.
my
And the fact that
problem.
you're putting pressure
the secondary
means...
judgment again.
Yes, let go of it. I feel like
know.
you need to... Because that's your safe space. When it's you and your journal, no one else is going to see it. Who cares what you write? And that's the whole point. The whole point is if your boyfriend, your son, is what makes you happy that day, that makes you happy.
The sun, not my Just, I don't have any children, guys. I'm not revealing something on the podcast. Whoa. Oh my God. Wait. Or am I? Wait. I'd love to know how you got started with journaling and like what parts you find most helpful, just in case people do want to like try for a day or 2 and then forget about it for 5 months.
I will say when I first started journaling, I couldn't journal either because I think I had that judgment on myself where it had to be curated what I was writing.
Yep.
And so for a long time I had like lined journal, which is like a general notebook. Then someone gave me a journal at this event, life-changing because that journal had little dots. I don't know how to explain it. It wasn't lined, but it was like a whole blank page with like dots. That changed my life in the sense it took away the pressure to journal in a format that I thought I had to. I know this is very niche and getting really specific.
This is a little thing though.
It is a little thing, but I didn't realize how much it changed me because it meant then I could journal by writing a sentence or a paragraph, or it meant I could scribble and I could draw if I didn't know what I was saying. Like if I didn't have the thought of like what my emotions were, I could like draw things. You know, the medium that you use, whatever it is, you know, I use a pen, paper, but for some it might be like a texter or like
someone in my team was like journaling on an iPad. I'm like, what's going on?
I don't get that.
I don't.
I feel like I need the
their
technology
own.
disconnect, but to some, it's great. Obviously, when I'm in my crisis mode, how I format it, because I'm usually going to my journal when I'm like, why am I feeling all these emotions? I'm really tense. I'm frustrated. So my first thing would be like, what's making me stressed? And I'll write like 3 things that's making me really stressed. And then after I write that, then my next line would be, how is that stress turning into anxiety? Because often you're feeling anxious from the stress. So then I can visually, by writing, see how my stress has turned into anxiety. So that way I've got to the root of the problem and then I can slowly work backwards. Obviously, that's over the years of journaling, I've got to that point.
But what do you do after that when it goes to the anxiety point? It's like, then it becomes a full stop. This is my anxiety.
100%.
And then I'm
you're like, what do I do now?
Yeah,
right?
what do I actually do, guys?
Then,
is this making the problem worse because I put pen to paper and I've really took it out of my brain? I don't know.
It also means now you confront it with it. Because all this time it was just in your head and you were ignoring it. And now it's like, wait, I have to deal with this.
Serial procrastinator over here. Like, I feel like I would definitely
like,
get stressed by that.
But that's also, I think, part of the thing, right? It is scary. Journaling is scary. And that's why people put it off as well. I think my next step usually, so it's like, what's stressing me out from the stress points? How has that manifested into anxiety? Then my next thing is, how can I unlearn or like take away some stress? Because a lot of the time we put these barriers, we fear these things, and it's actually not as bad as it is. So kind of sitting with that moment and recognizing, you know, whether it's like a deadline for work tomorrow and I'm feeling anxious about it, what can I do? Can I reach out to a coworker or my manager and ask for questions? Like, can that help with my deadline? Like, coming up with solutions that are effective. And because you put it down on paper, you can visually see it and a little bit more easy to digest, I find. Obviously, this is not for everyone. I feel like I'm a visual processor, so it makes sense for me. But I think that's my little outcome, which is writing the 3 things that stress me out, 3 things that made me anxious, and 3 things how I can resolve that to my capacity. And then also learning to be like, and now sleep on this. You're not going to automatically be fine. It's going to take minimum 24 hours, maybe longer, depending on the situation. but sleep on it and try and like, now that you put in the journal, like let go of that. Are you a good sleeper?
No.
Do you get your 8 hours?
Absolutely not.
No?
I try really hard. I just feel it's such a hard thing to kind of navigate. And then I think the more you think about sleep, the
Yes.
more stressful it becomes.
And then the more you can't sleep.
Yeah,
it's
so-
it's the worst cycle.
Yeah, but I think it is such an important part of like showing up for yourself. And like, I know, you know, there's so many different tools you can buy, apps you can download. Like there's a whole industry
Yes.
around sleep.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
It's crazy,
It's such a
but I
basic
understand.
human thing that we should all.
I spent $200 on an eye mask.
And is it working?
No. I do think it's a really important part of being confident and showing up for yourself is making sure that like you do have some semblance of good sleep where you can.
Yeah, I think for me, like sleeping well, eating well, and getting some sort of exercise, and when I say some sort, even going for a walk, because I'm not about to hit the gym, all of those things I try and follow. Sleep for me is really important because I feel like I could work throughout the whole day. Like I won't stop. And because of that, I do have to consciously be like, oh, it's 10 p.m. Like stop working, especially as a freelancer. There's never like a structure of time you work with. I feel like I can't give you anything groundbreaking other than the fact that my golden rule is before midnight, go to bed. I find that if you go to bed before midnight and, you know, you wake up at 7 or 8, you have a decent sleep. But if I go to bed even at 12:30 and I get
It's
8
all
hours
over.
sleep, I don't know if it's like a placebo mental thing. You're like, oh, after 12 it's late and I'm sleeping late. Or there's this, I don't know, something crazy out in the universe that explains that. Maybe we'll find out.
We'll find out. I will practice that. I do try. I feel like I am at 9 p.m. I'm like, okay, bedtime, night, everyone. And then like
maybe that's the thing. 9
I'm
p.m.
putting
is a
too
bit
much
early.
pressure. Yeah, no, yeah, I'm like, I
think-
must sleep now.
Just like chill out, like watch
chill.
something. Like I know people say don't have screen time. It doesn't personally affect
Yeah.
me because I scroll and sometimes I fall asleep scrolling.
Yeah.
Like I'm not a big scroller, but sometimes I'm like on
That's
TikTok
crazy,
and then
by
I'm
the
like,
way.
oh, I'm tired. Okay, now I
That's
have to plug my
crazy
phone
that
to
you
charge.
fall asleep scrolling.
I know, I'm
That's like
sorry.
my dream. I
I'm
wish that was
sorry.
me. I wish I could just
But
like
I think I don't
pass
put
out.
pressure. I know it's
With the
it's such
phone.
a stupid like statement to be like, don't put pressure.
Yeah, I know, but it's
But-
true. I
yeah.
think that's important.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'll try. I'm
I
gonna
do
try a
also
few
think
things.
it's a caffeine thing. I don't drink coffee in general. I
Oh.
drink tea. Yeah. I drink tea,
Whoa.
which is like half a dose of coffee caffeine. But my rule is again not after like 2-3 p.m.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I got some stuff to learn there.
Yeah.
We were talking a lot about being gentle with yourself.
Yeah.
And obviously journaling's a huge part of that. Sleep's a huge part of that. Monitoring, I guess, like your negative self-talk is a big part of that. But what about like what do you cook when you're feeling kind of down and you want to be gentle?
Yeah. So there's this really simple, beautiful Sri Lankan dish called kanji, and it sounds exactly like what it is. It's similar to congee, except it's like red rice with coconut milk, and it's a little bit like salty, sweet, and it's just one of those dishes that are just like so warming, and especially like on a cold day, and if you've had a long, you know, busy couple of days and you just can't be bothered to cook like a big meal or think about what you want to cook. These are like staple things that I have at home, like coconut milk and rice. I just whip that up. And the beautiful thing about kanji also is it is something that my parents grew up eating, and with the displacement of us moving from Sri Lanka to here, I feel like it's almost a symbolism of like resilience and resistance as well. To me, whenever I eat it, one, it makes me feel good on the level of like I'm feeling healed, but I think it also heals me on like a emotional level of like connecting myself to my identity as who I am, being here in Australia. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so special to talk about these things. And I've just never seen food in that kind of way. I just haven't had that connection to food. And I've never really stopped to be intentional and mindful about it. But really cool to hear your perspective on why it is like this important thing in your life. So we've covered a lot of ground. I do have like one final question for you because you did offer. When am I coming over?
Stop.
No, don't. I'm not stopping.
No, not stop. And the stop in the sense, stop and let's go now.
Okay, we can go now. It is 8 p.m.
Honestly, anytime. You have my number.
Let's do it. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Alice.
Love.
My cheeks hurt from smiling.
We're like, we're so happy.
I'm like, big grin.
This Junkee Media series is executive produced by Alice Griffin, that's me, and Jannah Anderson, and produced by Evie, Georgiou and Talecia, Vescio. Thanks to Angostura Bitters for making this episode possible. It's our fave addition to Nolo drinks this dry July.